Ezekiel 38. First prophecy against Gog. And the word of the Almighty God came to me, Son of man, turn your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophecy against him. Say thus, the Almighty God, see, I am coming against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn you around and put hooks in your jaws to lead you out with all your army, horses, and riders, all well armed, a great company, all of them with bucklers and shields, carrying swords, Persia, Cush, and Put with them, all with shields and helmets, Gomer and all his troops, Beth the Garmoth from the recesses of Zaphon and all its troops. Many nations will accompany you. Prepare and get ready. You and the company mobilize for you. But in my service, after many days, you will be called to battle in the last years. You will invade a land that has survived the sword. A people gathered from many nations back to the long deserted mountains of Israel, brought forth from the nations to dwell securely, and you shall come up like a sudden storm, covering the land like a cloud, and you and all your troops and the many nations with you. Thus says the Almighty God, on that day thought shall cross your mind, and you shall devise an evil plan. You will say, I will invade a land of open villages and attack a peaceful people who live in security, all of them living without city walls, bars, or gates, in order to plunder and pillage, turning your hand against resettled ruins, against a people gathered from the nations, a people whose concern is cattle and goods, dwelling at the center of the earth, Sheba and Dedan. The merchants of Tarshish and all its young lions shall ask you, have you come here to plunder? Have you summoned your army for pillage? Carry off silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to seize much plunder? Second prophecy against Gog. Therefore prophesy, son of man, and say to Gog, thus says the Almighty God, on the day when my people Israel dwell securely, will you not take action? Leaving your base in the recesses of Zaphon, you and many nations with you, all mounted on horses, a great company, a mighty army. You shall rise up over my people Israel like a cloud covering the land. In those last days, I will let you invade my land so that the nations acknowledge me, when in their sight I show my holiness through you, Gog. Thus says the Almighty God, about you I spoke in earlier times, although my servants, the prophets of Israel, who prophesied at that time that I would let you invade them. But on that day, the day Gog invades the land of Israel, oracle of the Almighty God, my fury will flare up in my anger, and in my jealousy with fiery wrath. I swear on that day there will be a great earthquake in the land of Israel. Before me will tremble the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, the beasts of the field, and everything that crawls on the ground, and everyone on the face of the earth. Mountains will be overturned, terraces will collapse, and every wall will fall to the ground. Against him I will summon every terror. Against the Almighty God, every man's sword will be raised against his brother. I will execute judgment on him. Disease and bloodshed, flood and rain and hailstones, fire and brimstone. And I will rain down on him, on his troops, and on the many nations with him. And so I will show my greatness and holiness, and make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they shall know that I am the Almighty God. Ezekiel 39, chapter 39. Third prophecy against Gog. You, son of man, prophecy against Gog, saying, thus said the Almighty God, Here I am, God, coming at you, chief of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn you around, even though I urged you on and brought you up from the recesses of Zaphon and let you attack the mountains of Israel. Then I will strike the bow from your left hand and make the arrows drop from your right. Upon the mountains of Israel you shall fall, you and all your troops and the peoples with you. And I will give you as food to birds of prey of every kind and to wild beasts to be eaten. In the open field you shall fall, for I have spoken, oracle of the Almighty God. And I will send fire against Magog and against those who live securely on the sea coast, and they will know that I am the Almighty God, and I will reveal my holy name among my people Israel, and I will never again allow my holy name to be defiled. Then the nations shall know that I am the Almighty God, the Holy One of Israel. Yes, it is coming. It shall happen. Oracle of the Almighty God, this is the day I decree. Everyone living in the cities of Israel shall go out and set fire to the weapons, buckler and shield, bows and arrows, clubs and spears. For 7 years they will make fires with them, and they will not need to bring in wood from the fields or cut down trees in the forest, for they will make fires with the weapons, plundering those who plunder them, pillaging those who pillage them, oracle of the Almighty God. And on that day I will give Gog a place for his tomb in Israel, the valley of Abram east of the sea, and it will block the way of traveler. There Gog shall be buried with all this horde, and it shall be called Valley of Haman Gog. For 7 months the house of Israel shall bury them in order to cleanse the land. All the people of the land shall take part in the burials, making a name for themselves on the day I am glorified, oracle of the Almighty God. Men shall be permanently assigned to pass through the land, burying those who lie unburied in order to cleanse the land. For 7 months they shall keep searching, and when these pass through the land and see a human bone, they must set up a marker beside it until the grave diggers bury it in the valley of Haman Gog, also the name of the city of Hamonah. Thus the land will be cleansed. As for you, son of man, thus said the Almighty God, say to the birds of every kind and to every wild beast, assemble, come from all sides for the sacrifice I am making for you, a great slaughter on the mountains of Israel. And you shall eat flesh and drink blood, and you shall eat the flesh of warriors and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, rams, lambs, and goats, bulls and fatlings from Bashan, all of them. From the sacrifice I slaughtered for you, you shall eat fat until you are sated, and drink blood until you are drunk. At my table you shall be sated with horse and rider, with warrior and soldier of every kind, oracle of the Almighty God. Israel's return. Then I will display my glory among the nations, and all the nations will see the judgment I executed, the hand I laid upon them from that day forward. The house of Israel shall know that I am the Almighty their God. The nations shall know that the house of Israel went into exile because of its sins, because they betrayed me. I hid my face from them, handing them over to their foes. So they all fell by the sword. According to their defilements and their crimes, I dealt with them, hiding my face from them. Therefore, thus said the Almighty God, now I will restore the fortunes of David. Now I will restore the fortunes of Jacob and take pity on the whole house of Israel. I am jealous for my holy name. They will forget their shame and all the infidelity they committed against me when they live securely on their own land with no one to frighten them. And when I bring them back from the nations and gather them from the lands of their enemies, and I will show my holiness through them in the sight of many nations.